Hello, Annapolis. This is Scott MacMullan. I'm here with a very special guest, Mr. Darren Smith. Darren is the author of 30 for 30, The Writings Behind the Wall. It tells about his experience at the Jennifer Road Detention Center when he was incarcerated there. How you doing, Darren? Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked this to everyone, what first brought you to the Annapolis area?
Well, I mean, I'm from Shadyside, Maryland, small town, about 25 minutes south of Annapolis.
Yeah.
So Annapolis was always our nearest city that people from down in that area, from the South County area, where they came to for everything, for shopping, to hang out. So I've always, been around this area. As I got a little older, like, my teenage years, I went to Severn School in Severna Park, Severn School is about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes north of Annapolis. So I've always, been in and around this area. And most recently, I purchased a home in Annapolis, like down towards in the Eastport area, off of Forest Drive. So, I've always just, been in and around this immediate area. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And congrats on buying your first home. I bought mine a year ago. So it's a big,
congrats on that.
I used to always say I couldn't afford to buy a home in my hometown because it's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. Absolutely. But I see you got your uniform on. You got the Howard T-shirt. Are you excited for the new? Didn't Kamala Harris go to Howard? Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's really neat that she went to Howard. What's the mascot of Howard?
Bison.
Bison. Okay, cool.
Howard Bison, Howard University Bison. Yeah.
Nice. So so you grew up, you graduated Severn, you went to Howard, and then what did you do after that?
I went to grad school. I went to so I'm a Bison and I'm also a Husky. I went to University of Connecticut, and I got my master's in social work at the University of Connecticut. I lived in Hartford, Connecticut from 2011 to 2013, and I got I attained my master's degree in social work from there. So,
that's great. That's a neat area. So
yeah.
So what, it's your book. What happened? It's telling you, I guess you had a DUI conviction. Tell us what was going on with your life to lead up to writing this book.
Yeah. At that time, I was that whole experience, that DUI happened in March of 2018. And at that time, I was just, living my life like I'm doing now. I was still working at the job that I work now. I wasn't living in Annapolis at the time. I was living in Crofton. I had an apartment in Crofton, but I was, just living my life, being a normal person. And that unfortunate incident happened. When did it happen? I want to say the morning of March the 18th. And I was pretty much at my house. And I know, a lot of people, when people tell stories about these unfortunate incidents, a lot of them happen within a couple of miles of their home. Yep. So I was I could walk to my house from where the incident happened. Mm-hmm. And it was, and I tell people the story because what I actually did that kind of got me caught and arrested, I would have did the same thing and it sounds funny, would have did the same thing if I was sober. I was driving along down Route 3, and I had to cross over to Route 3 to get to my apartment complex. At the time, I lived in the village, and there's you have to cross over to get into the neighborhood. So as I came up to the light, there were about 3 or 4 cars ahead of me, but there wasn't any traffic coming along on the opposite side of the road. So I was wondering what people were just sitting there waiting on, because all of them looked like they were going, into my neighborhood. So I was wondering why they weren't crossing to go into the neighborhood. Yeah. So I kind of bypassed the traffic to try to, to get into my neighborhood, and the cop came out of nowhere and I didn't see him. Yeah. And it was just, it was unfortunate. I've been drinking. I did all of the tests and I had to take the breathalyzer and,
Yeah.
that's all she wrote from there.
That's all she wrote from there. And you got sentenced. And I know you had one or two before that. And you got sentenced, and you had to go to Jennifer Road Detention Center.
Yep, absolutely.
And what was that like? I mean, people, people don't know. Not everyone knows what it feels like to be behind the walls, like you're saying. Like, what's it like being, caged?
So, and that's one of the big reasons why I wrote it, because I wanted to. It's coming from a perspective of a person who, who's the way I live in my life. You wouldn't think I would end up in a place like that. My lifestyle doesn't warrant me being in that type of position.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm sure, you as well, and just most people that I know and I surround myself with are, just are regular people, tax-paying citizens, have families, have jobs, they take care of their responsibilities, and they, try to avoid trouble at all costs. So, I tried to write it I wrote it from that perspective of a person who you wouldn't think that he would be in that situation. But no, that experience, it was, I would say, for one, it was very mundane. Jail is jail. Of course, no one wants to be there, and no one wants to be confined to have their freedom and their liberty.
Were you reading in there? I know you were writing, but did you read anything?
Okay. I did. So I read. So actually, I read the Capitol. I read the Capitol every day. So I couldn't wait until we got the news, the current Capitol, so I could read that. I actually read. I read Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope. I was able to get my hands on that and finish that. And I started reading Nelson Mandela's autobiography, but I didn't get a chance to finish it because that book is just robust. It's extremely long. So I didn't get a chance to finish that. But that's what I read for the most part.
So you're saying it's boring. Was it scary in there? Is it not scary? I mean, I know there's a lot of, that's just sort of up to an 18 months, which is a lot of time.
Right.
That's not the hard DOC.
Absolutely.
Years. So it's a different seat, but there's people passing through there all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I made sure I wanted to make sure I made that distinction in the book as well, that there's a distinct difference between jail and prison. You know what I mean? Jail is where I was, where people are there for 18 months or less. And, it's still jail. So you always have to proceed with caution and just, mind your surroundings and make sure you always remain cognizant of where you are. But at the same time, most people that are in that position, that are in jail, they know that the sentence isn't as long as it would be if they were in a state or federal penitentiary. So most people, they just stay to themselves because they want to go home. You know what I mean? I don't want to do anything that could cause me to lengthen my stay here. So most people stay to themselves, and literally just stay to themselves and mind their own.
Let me ask this: is the Jennifer Road Detention Center? I've heard different. When you were there, at least, was it packed out? I mean, some people say it's only half filled, like all this stuff. What did it feel like in there? I mean, as far as population goes.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was packed out.
Okay.
When I was there, that was that was just like I said when I was there. I can't speak of anyone else's time when they were there, but it wasn't super packed.
Yeah.
There were enough rooms to house everyone. And
what about now with like coronavirus? Are people close to 6 feet? Is it like close quarters in there?
That's something that I've definitely thought about. And so my story was actually in the paper, and that's one of the questions that the reporter asked me, like, about the coronavirus. And I just find it, I don't know how jails and different detention facilities are able to abide by the different restrictions and guidelines. I don't know if they have the resources to do that. So that's something that I'm not too confident that they're able to make sure all of the safety measures are in place for people in that situation. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So you're there. Did you make any friends there? I mean, did you get to meet some interesting characters?
I did. I wouldn't say friends, but I definitely met some interesting people, some good acquaintances. And I talk about them actually in the book. So one of the first guys that I met when I was there, I don't even know his name. I just know his nickname. They call him Dread, because he said he used to have dreadlocks when he was younger. And we had a definitely, I would say we had a pretty good relationship. He was a passer through. He was only there for about 3 or 4 days, but because he knew that he was going to get transferred to a state facility, a state penitentiary, because I think he was going to do like a 10-year bid.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, but for the time that we were there, for the time that he was there, we were cellmates, and he reminded me of like like a big brother that I would have. You know what I mean? We talked about everything from music to religion to he talked about, his past experiences in the street, and how he knows what he did to get here and how he's going to try to change his life around. He was really intelligent. He was really smart. He was a Muslim, so I used to watch as he prayed 5 times a day, and he was really personable. He was very well mannered. You know what I mean? Some of the customs that I learned when I was in there as watching him. So Muslims, when they do their daily prayer, they're not allowed to pray around feces. And he would have to do his prayers in the cell where the toilet is. So he would take a jacket and cover the toilet. And prior to him doing that, he would always ask me, he was like, "Man, you got to use the bathroom?" I said, "No, go ahead and do your thing." I knew why he was asking me that. He would cover the toilet so that just a representation of him, he wanted to be in as clean of an environment as possible for him to perform his daily prayer. So just things like that I saw, and I definitely made sure I wrote those things and jotted those things down, because it was just, it amazed me that in this situation, in these, decrepit circumstances, his faith remained unwavering, and he was very disciplined in that. So it was fascinating to see, you know what I mean? So
how are the detention center employees, people that work there? Is it respectful, or was there tension there, or what was it like?
For me, I'm a big person on you kind of give out, you reciprocate the energy that you give out. So if you go, especially in a place like that, I'm just trying to do what I have to do to get home. I don't want any issues. I don't want any problems with anyone. I'm not going in this space with my chest poked out like I'm the biggest or baddest person there, because I'm definitely not. I just want to just stay to myself. And, I spoke to different people in there, of course, but at the same time, I just want to avoid all trouble at all costs. So I think, the workers and the guards who were in there, they sensed that. And I never had an issue with anyone. I didn't put myself in any type of situation to have any issues with any guards, or for guards to have it out for me in any way, because I just stayed to myself and just, whatever, I abided by all of whatever, the guidelines that were there. And that was my main focus.
So you did it. It was, I guess, is your second or third time being pulled over for drinking and driving?
Yeah.
Do you think the penalty was appropriate after all was said and done? Do you think that was the best answer for you to go to jail for 30 days, or you think there could have been a better way?
As I look back, yes.
Okay.
Of course, people who know me, and people, like I said, who just know my lifestyle and know me as a person, they may say different. But for me, just reflecting now, that definitely needed to happen. Just because I feel like, they gave me a couple of chances, and I came back for the same thing. So I kind of forced the state or the court into a corner. Like, they had to, show that, okay, that we're not, this is a serious matter, and we've given you chance after chance, and you've come here numerous times. So we have to we have to enforce some type of reprimandment for you because this, we've given you an opportunity. And looking back, like I said, I understand that. And I mentioned that, in the memoir, I take full responsibility for my actions. So, and I'm, and I needed to be where I was for that time. And of course it sucked. I didn't want to be there. No one wants to be there. But that was someplace,
What were you doing, like job, like what you were working, and then all of a sudden everything got put on pause?
Yeah.
Did you lose your job? I mean, I'm just asking you.
No. Thankfully, I didn't. Because I made arrangements with my job. I work in DC. I work for Child and Family Services in DC, a government DC agency. And I made arrangements with them. I told them beforehand. Once I had a feeling that I may possibly be doing some jail time, I came to them and I told them that this is what the situation is. So is there any way that I could take some type of leave of absence or anything, whatever I need to do in order for me to keep my job? You know what I mean? So they were, they were supportive. But I mean, there was a stint during that time because I was actually, so they put me on I was still getting paid, but I was, kind of like on a leave of absence because it was a protocol they had to follow because I could have possibly been terminated. So I had to go through different levels. My case had to go through different levels of approval as to whether or not they would keep me. But I had already been told that this is just a formality. Like we know that you'll be coming back, but this is just something that that just has to be done because of what happened. But long story short, thankfully, I was still able to keep my job. I still work there. It's been going on 4 years that I've been there this upcoming September. So
that's great.
That was and I highlight this in the book as well. That was my main fear. Me losing my job and losing the resources that I had worked hard to attain over these past years. Because I knew jail was, of course that's scary, but that is just a moment. I know that I'm going to be leaving from here in a little over a month. You know what I mean? But the real fear that I had is, once I got out, me not having a job, me not having the resources that I worked hard to get and having to start from square one. That was what I was really, really afraid of. And, by the blessings of God, I was able to come home and still have my resources and still have, my employment intact. So.
Do you think like the justice system? Do you think like the justice system in the court or the detention center? Do you think there's room for improvement in how everything fleshed out for you, or just how you saw it from that perspective, or you think justice was served? What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely think there's room for improvement. And just from me being there firsthand to see, and also, just from just things that have been going on just recently and throughout the years, there's definite need of improvement in the criminal justice system. You have people who are, sitting in jail for nonviolent offenses because they can't afford bail or because, whatever like that. That just seems crazy to me. They haven't been proven if they've been charged, but they haven't been convicted of any crime. These crimes may be nonviolent, and I still have to sit and wait until, my trial date, which may be 3 or 4 months from now.
Let me ask you this. Did you do a night when you were first arrested? Did you have to do a night or two before you got out? Or did you, I did
a night. And then, I was allowed to get out.
Yeah. That's crazy. And that's just, that's,
I was allowed to get out.
That's before they even proved their case and you're already doing time. And to me, that's tough.
Right.
Especially for something non.
Yeah. And my thing is, and the thing that's the most disheartening about that is the fact that these people who are sitting in here for nonviolent offenses, waiting for a trial date, these people have real lives. So people have jobs, people have families, people have responsibilities. and these things all fall by the wayside when the person is in this position and they can't do the things they would normally be able to do. So it's already stacked. It's kind of, the deck is already stacked against them because I don't have enough money. I'm not making any money while I'm in here to, to pay for a lawyer, an adequate lawyer to go to trial. And all of I don't have any more resources because I've been out of society for 4 months waiting my trial date. So what am I supposed to do? I just feel like that's just unfair. Like, you're not giving me a fair chance to defend myself.
Yeah.
And that's one of, many things, that could be addressed and changed in the criminal justice system. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a legal mind, but I know that, I've seen some things, and those things are strikingly unfair to me.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about Annapolis. I talked to you a little bit about this before the interview, but if you were a mayor for a day, I ask this to everyone, what would you do in Annapolis to get something done, to no bureaucracy, just make something happen? What would be your one thing you'd get done in Annapolis?
That's a great question, a hard question as well. I know a lot of people, they think, that things can just get done just like that when they're in office or when they hold a position. But I know there's a lot of things that you have to navigate. I would just say, I would definitely try to get more adequate housing for low income families, low income communities. How that would be done, I don't know, but that's one of the main things that I would try to, attain, try to focus on. Criminal justice thing, I would allow people people on nonviolent offenses who are awaiting trial. I will allow them to come out and continue to make money and continue to take care of their responsibilities up until their trial date at least. And then once they get if they get convicted, then they have to go through the justice system. I would try to somehow, some way make the area more affordable for people to live in, for people who I know who are from this area, just like you and I were speaking about earlier. People who are from this area, they have to move because they can't live here, and that's really unfortunate. People who grew up in the area, their parents are from here, they pay taxes here, went to school here, and they have to move out of this neighborhood. And move out of this city because they can't afford it. That just takes away so much richness and culture of the community. And that's something that, I would definitely try to find a way to, to address that issue, because that's an issue for a lot of people. And, I've spoken to different people. I've seen different groups talk about that. It's hard. It's really hard to live in the area. And it's hard to be from an area and have to move out of that area because it's so expensive to live.
Absolutely. It kind of sounds like you might be a good person to run for politics. You ever thought about doing that?
I've toyed with the idea, but I never like really took the idea seriously of me running. So when I went to the University of Connecticut, that was my concentration for social work, was policy practice. And that concentration, it promotes social workers going into the political spectrum, going into the political realm. Okay. So, I've seen different social workers and, in Senate and Congress, and watched their paths and watched them navigate and bring the issues that they're strong, that they feel strongly about, bring them into the political realm and try to address those things. So I never really took it that serious that I'm really going to actively try to get involved in politics. But it's an idea that I've toyed around with. So
all right, well, so
I'm still kind of young, so that may
you got some time. You got some time. So you just moved in. You just bought a house over in the Eastport area.
Yes, sir.
So what's your favorite place to grab a bite to eat in the Annapolis area? Anywhere,
I would say I don't know about favorite, but there's some
place you go, place you like.
I like Boatyard Grill.
Okay.
They have really good food.
Yeah, I agree. Cool.
What else? It used to be called Main Ingredient, but it's called
it's like Main and Market.
Main and Market, I want to say.
Yeah, that's good. They got good brunch.
They have really, really good food.
I agree
both of those spots are like less than a minute away from me.
They're close by you. Yeah, absolutely. That's good. Yeah. That's a good spot. Who else would be a good guest to talk about Annapolis, tell their story for this podcast?
Oh man, who? I would say a good guest. I would say Carmicel Brown. He goes by. He's an artist, graphic designer. His name on all of his social media platforms is Cell Spitfire, CELL Spitfire. Because he used to be a rapper. I know, I don't know what he does with that now, but I know now he's really heavily invested in the community and using his artwork as a platform to to bring about just cultural awareness in the community. So I know he was responsible. Well, he was one of the artists responsible for doing the George Floyd piece downtown.
So he
did the Carl Lester Smith mural. He did the Breonna Taylor mural. He was a big.
Okay.
He was one of them.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see that from outer space or something like that.
It's been on TV. It's been on a lot of different platforms.
All that stuff. Yeah.
One of the guys who's instrumental in using his talents to teach and to bring awareness and to bring and to put a spotlight on the city, because it's a lot of great talent in this city. So I would definitely, and he's an Annapolitan born and raised.
Yeah.
So I would definitely suggest getting him on and hearing this story.
Talk to Mr. Brown. Okay. So the book is 30 for 30, The Writings Behind the Wall by Darren Smith.
Yes, sir.
Talks about his time at Jennifer Road Detention Center. And thanks a lot for coming on and talking about your story. You have anything else, Darren?
People, please give the book a chance. I think I'm very confident that you'll enjoy it. You can get it. You can just get it on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, type in 30 for 30, and it'll pop up. It's got a lot of.
I did that before this. Comes right up.
Yeah.
30 for 30. I'm gonna buy it. Yeah.
It has. It has a lot of great reviews. Like I said, I was fortunate enough to have a cover story written about me. It was on the front page of the paper last week. So that was a blessing. That was very great to get a lot of exposure for it. And I think people will like it. It's well written. It just documents my whole time there, from the mundane stuff to the introspective stuff. So it's a good read. It's definitely a good read. So
absolutely. All right. Well, thanks so much, Darren. Everyone check out the book. And this is Scott MacMullan with Darren Smith, and this is the Annapolis Podcast.
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot for having me.